And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the galaxy, the Milky Way, that is. It's Hot John D and Kanika, a.k.a.
Do.
And Too Much Podcast. Good morning, my love.
Good morning.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You?
I'm feeling superb. When you say great, what does great look like to you right now?
Oh.
Like, why do you feel great? Like, what's, like, you know, that's not like good, like I don't know. Why is it great?
I got a good positive cry out today. I had,
What's a good positive cry?
I don't know. I don't know if people feel this way, but sometimes I have emotions inside of me and I don't know that they're there. But in having a conversation, they just tears just kind of come out, and it feels good to get it out. I didn't know that those tears were there. I didn't know that sadness or disappointment was there. And then when you talk and your conversation just kind of just floats into this and the tears come out, sometimes it just feels good because it means you're shedding things that are probably a weight on you. And you happened upon it and you got to release it and really talk about it and be open about it. And then all of a sudden you feel lighter. You know, I feel like those are my positive cries. If I cry and I'm still aching afterward, then that's that sadness. You know what I'm saying? You can't really shake. But when you feel lighter,
you know,
I think that's good.
I know I've made you cry a lot because you can tell the differences in your cries. He's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I do want you to know that I don't think it's anything that I can make you cry outside of the weight lifted. I don't think I can like make any decisions. You be like, he did it again, or he got me, or he tricked me. Like, I don't think that could happen. You be like, there's no way that he did this on purpose. I need you to know that.
I appreciate it. Look, he was like, let me just, before anything happens. That's horrible.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
I probably got an answer.
I know. And this is going to be with some judgment. I need you to bring out to your judgment.
Okay.
But it's positive judgment. And like, I guess it's, to me, I feel like you're an unpaid professional in this area.
Okay. Man.
Why are relationships not working for the younger generation? Like, why is it worse than our generation? Why are everybody so into this vagabond mentality? I'm not looking for nothing serious. I don't want to settle down. Why is it so difficult?
I may be wrong. Now you're asking me on the fly, and so this is my initial thought. I feel like the younger generation understands what a relationship is supposed to look like. And they know that either they or the people in their pool are not capable of delivering it. And this is why I say that. This younger group, there's more fulfilling their desires. They're more into enjoying life. They're more into discovering parts of themselves. They're more accepting of therapy. And I feel like we've grown up watching dysfunctional relationships, and we have continued, even though we tweak them in each generation to make it maybe better. We know, looking back, you and I, that we did not enter into a healthy marriage. Mm-hmm. We had no idea what we were doing. We were carrying a lot of hurts and a lot of things that there are a lot of people I know that have been in relationships and they're not ready to really own the parts that make them a poor partner. This younger generation, they're very much so, they're not going to settle for this, settle for that. And it makes them seem like jackasses, I would imagine, but they're not. They're actually the ones that are like, if I can't have a relationship with someone, now they might be jackasses when they're saying relationships requiring certain amounts of money or whatever. I know that there was that flow where people were talking about who you can take to Cheesecake Factory and Applebee's and all that other dumb stuff. But what I'm thinking is they've really gotten to the point. I have a friend. When we went to college, you and I met. I worked through my career or whatever, but I definitely put more of my time into developing a relationship and having my kids early on. Whereas on the opposite end, she developed her career like she was full force on her career and was like, when I meet my partner, I'm going to be at this point, so then we don't have to worry about anything when it comes to having kids and being happy. And when she looks back, she says stuff to me about like in comparing our lives and where we are and understanding like, you know, we both had to trade off certain things to get what we wanted. And I think that this new group, they feel like they shouldn't have to trade off. I want this kind of relationship. I want this type of lifestyle, and I want my person to be on that same level. But not everybody is adequately prepared to do that. Like I think some people push through, they do the therapy, or they themselves discover themselves, and then they could put themselves on that trajectory of what they want. I want to take these trips, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. There are other people that have been impacted by us as parents or the generation before us as parents, and they haven't been able to get out of that sludge, and they can't find their way. So the pool is so much weirder than ours. Like where we were, we all could kind of flow together and mix and figure it out. Right now, I feel like it's a really big difference. Either you're overachieving and having you a great time and having a great life and saying, I'm not accepting anything less, or you're the one that's maybe over here stuck and you don't know how to get out, or you don't feel like there's anything wrong because that's what you saw your dad or your mom like. So what are you even talking about that I need to do this or I need to do that? I think the mind frames of this upcoming or this current generation of younger people, they are so far separated on the continuum that it makes it more difficult to find compatibility. And because this one group is like, I'm not settling, this other group on the other side of the continuum, that pool is too small over there. I think it's just they have a good idea of what they want in a relationship and what they want from someone, and their entire pool is too, what is the word I want, polarized? They're too far apart. Whereas with us, it was like we understood, oh, this is how you grew up. This is how I grew up. Oh, okay, well then let's figure it out. And either you grow up and you grow out of it and you learn different ways of living life and then you have a great marriage, or you grow up and you realize that one person's going to change and one's not, and then you divorce, and that's what we've been dealing with. Maybe this new generation is like, I ain't even going to bother with the like in between and trying to figure out if you're going to be able to meet me where I am or get to this same level that I want to be at. I'm just not even going to bother with that.
So with our experience, what information could you give for them if they're interested, or if they're not? Like, do you like, hey, I'd continue on your path, or I probably wouldn't look at it that way, or you should probably consider looking at it this way. Like if you look at it from your child's perspective, as a kid, the ultimate goal as a human, before any kids tell you, will drive you crazy, or your parents make you say you don't want to have kids, don't you want to have family and raise kids? Or are you like, no, nobody wants that feeling? Like we learn to do that from people's behaviors, or is that something that's innately in us and then our distractions around us prevent us from going that far?
You know what? I don't know. I felt like it was innately in me to want, but I mean, how can you ever really tell if that's what you see and that's what you know? I can't tell you if it's innately in me or it was just modeled so much around me that I just assumed that was a part of what I'm supposed to do.
Are you saying
I imagine it's what we're supposed to do if we want to continue to
live,
exist. Yeah. So I guess that would make it where it's an innate, we want to be able to build more generations. How it's done, though, is how it's modeled around us.
That's what I'm saying. So what can you give to the younger people in your experience? Do you believe in marriage and relationships, or no? Or do you feel like, no, it's their decision? Because I know you care about other people's feelings.
I do.
And for what? We're trying to give our opinions.
Oh.
God, there are some people that don't want to go there.
Some people.
Well, you know what? They have to live with that, okay?
But and the other thing is, I think that there are certain people who should never have children. And that's two ways. There are people who are so dangerous.
Is that because the way they grew up?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm only referring to people that want this, they want to.
Okay, but no, even if they are people,
but
that
we can't control
parents,
them.
Oh, okay, but I'm just saying there are people who want to be parents, but they shouldn't be.
We're only talking about the young people. You weren't talking about.
I was talking about.
Now you want a specific group in the young generation.
Why are you like this? Okay, so
what advice are you going to give to these people who are living their life, not the ones that are dangerous?
Okay. Who are living their life how they want to.
Yeah, what kind of advice would you give? Are they looking at it wrong, or should they prove should they look at it in a different way, or should they live their life without your advice?
I think it depends on who the person is. Listen, this is why I'm saying this. There are certain people that they don't want children, and it could be
because of what?
Yes, it could be because of their background. It could be it's no telling. And if you don't want to have kids, I'm not going to tell you that that's something that you should do, because kids need to be wanted.
So we're only talking about people that would consider doing it if it means it's better than what they're living. Not anybody who was going to be negative. Golly.
I'm trying to.
I don't care about those populations of people. I only care about people that would I would do it if it made sense.
Somebody who's on the fence.
If it makes sense, I would consider it, but it don't look like it makes sense.
Okay.
So you you know what? You probably shouldn't do it. What?
No.
I know. So
okay. So I'm saying that there's value to it. I don't know. I feel like if you're on the fence, then why are you there? Is it your fear of your own capability, or is it the fear of having someone or not finding someone who matches your energy and you'll be happy with?
We're not. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for.
I'm not doing what he wants. Okay, so tell me. Why don't you tell me? You answer it.
Well, I'm.
What would you tell them?
I'm pro marriage because it creates a stability for your kids. I believe marriage is honestly to raise kids.
But we don't have. Now you have said that before.
Yeah, I do. I believe that it's hard to want to create a relationship with somebody and not consider kids. I can see, okay, you can't have them and you really love this person, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna be with somebody, being with somebody could get monotonous if you don't have something that's going to change the days, and kids change the days.
So don't get married unless you intend to have kids.
I don't when the way that you said that, there are going to be exceptions for people, but those who are looking for more to life, yes, I believe marriage is to make sure that two people are in this commitment to do the best they can for these kids. And if you don't approach marriage that way, you're going to be I'm probably be a better parent outside of the household. Said by no kid. So if you feel like you can't be a good parent, you need to do a better job at the person that you're going to impregnate or get impregnated by. So to me, I feel like pro marriage, if you do it the safest way to ensure your kids don't have these psychological problems of my parents couldn't get it together. So
when you talk about it, it's like the kids are already here and then they're making a decision to be married.
I think that if you think about being married, you got to think about down here, because if down here looks bad, why get in it? You can't just say, okay, you know what? Just like you said in another episode, you was like, we shouldn't have been planning nothing first 3-5 years. We should have just been get into a torture, what of them escape rooms, and look what we got. and come together. So like, to me, I feel like if you want to get married, you got to think about the end game. What does that look like? Because if you don't, things could change before you even get there. And it was like, what was the point? So to me, I feel like if all of that has not been considered, and you can say, I don't want kids, but what if you change your mind? Have you thought about that? Because people change their mind.
They do.
Yeah, and like, check this out. It's okay to change your mind, because with the information you had, the way that you were feeling, you felt like you couldn't do that. It's cool. But as you get older, different experience, mature certain parts, and you be like, you know what? I think I could do a good job. Just because you looked around and noticed that some people wasn't doing what you would do. So you was like, you know what? I think I can give it a shot. So to me, for young people who are interested, you have to think about really the entire part. So if you're going to think about the entire part, you have to really get to know the person on what they're thinking now and their capabilities of thinking later. Because if they tell you, look, I don't want kids, there's no need of trying to convince that person.
Yeah, because they may never change their mind.
Like that's like, if you like,
yourself.
but they're so attractive and they got this degree. Okay, so none of that's gonna matter if you think that they're gonna change their mind and they don't. And then you got into a situation where you were hoping for a miracle.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I would tell young people. Like, I believe in it. I wholeheartedly believe in it. I even believe that the people that are married that are unhappy, that they can still figure it out. Just, they got to do intentional work. People that are not married or looking to it, you got to know that there's a part of the relationship process that if you're not a good communicator, you guys are going to argue a lot. And it doesn't mean that you should stay away from that area. You should figure out why y'all arguing. And to me, only way a relationship can work is if both people are willing to admit they're wrong all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have that communication, then somebody's going to be stubborn. Ego and pride is going to create these roadblocks to making it work. And most of the time, if you don't have a relationship expert or counselor or whatnot, you just doing it by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but so to roll me back real quick, when we started talking, you asked me why I think the new generation is the way that they are in regards to relationships or what their stance is. And my thing was what people's expectations are and they not being met. If they're not being met, then they're okay with just being done. Mm-hmm. Let's roll back and just summarize your thoughts of why they are the way they are, because I think that it would make sense.
I think they're the way they are because of what you said. Like people in our peer group and above us, I mean, when you look at marriages, do that look like something that you want to do outside of the pictures and the appearances?
Yeah, we don't make it look good.
That's what I'm saying. It does not and you can just see through people's posts. It look like it's somebody's fault. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if you see that all the time from people above you and older, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I can make my own fun.
Mm-hmm. So what about, let's think about the people who don't want to have kids or they cannot have kids.
Okay, so when you say don't and have the ones that don't have kids or don't want to have kids, mm-hmm. What are their reasons? So
then do you feel like they should just be engaged with friendships or relationships with people? Marriage isn't necessary in those spaces.
I think that they can get married, but the other person shouldn't be convincing this person to have kids.
Oh, agree.
They should have somebody that is content with this person not having kids, but willing to have them if they change their mind.
Yeah.
That's the communication part.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel, you should. I think everybody should have somebody.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what do you think about, aside from having kids, because there might be a relationship where there are no kids or there are. So the fulfillment or the convincing of this generation to get married, what do you think that looks like? What would you say to somebody where they're like, yeah, we both strongly feel that we don't want to have children based on whatever reason. So what would be your thing to them to say, okay, go for it? Oh,
absolutely. I would tell them that there's so many things that you guys have not dealt with yet. Do you guys argue? You need to say yeah or no, but you should, whenever you're going to argue at some point, mm-hmm. But the way that you communicate with each other is going to determine how fast you'll get to the place that I described that I've gotten with my wife.
So when you think about when we got married, we didn't have marriage counseling. Mm-hmm. We was out here doing some free falling and up in here. So is it really a matter of, do you feel like counseling is where they need to start, or learning along the way as we did? Do you feel like it should be individual? Should it be couple? Is that not necessary? What do you think?
I guess it depends on who's the counselor. What do they look like? What information do they have? What experiences they have? Because just because you in a church or you got this job, like what does your marriage look like? Does your marriage look like something that could describe something I'm even interested in? That's
interesting because my therapist at the time when I was having therapy, she was divorced and remarried, but a real, like, not a great relationship with the previous person. Does that make you feel like therapists have to be removed? They just have to be someone from the outside that's looking and giving you a different perspective about what's going on with you, helping you to sort your own ideas out, right? Mm-hmm. If they have the skill set and they understand how it's supposed to go, how much of their own personal success in it is really as important? Because they're really just listening to you and helping reflect back.
You got to be a really good therapist to not put your personal experience in your thoughts. Like to me, I feel like I would like to say that some of my experiences can back up the things that I've been like learning through whatever my expertise is. So why wouldn't you put that in there? You're like, this, from what I've read here, and then you got this, like, I really believe in this because you've gone through it. To me, I feel like it's easier to get information from somebody who knows how to do it. That's the reason why I love our relationship, because if people got here more often, marriage wouldn't be a problem because people would talk like you and I. Mm. People don't talk like you and I regularly. Out of all the married people there's levels of happiness or whatnot. And when I see it outside of the one couple that you and I talk about, they're like the unicorn out of everybody. Mm-hmm. Like out of everybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I look at everybody else going through the same marital problems or in experiences that most people go through. Like if more of that unicorn couple was on TV, it was like, how do they do that? Mm-hmm. More people would want to do, but if you don't see it, all you see is the stuff that we see amongst all of the people we know.
Yeah. But even if you see it on TV, you think that it's, an isolated incident. But yeah, some people will be like, how do you do it? Can I do it too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you don't see it, it's like, that don't happen. They're just lucky. Yeah. No, everybody could do it if they put the work in. Mm-hmm. And that's the way that I feel like anything that's really good, there was some work that you didn't see. Mm-hmm. Like, how did they get like that?
Do you feel that there are possibilities of somebody being in a relationship and they both want it to work, but it just can't?
No. No, not at all. They're horrible communicators.
Well, I don't want to put that out.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to. I'm saying this. If two people want it to work mm-hmm. and it doesn't work, it's because the communication. Like, how do you want it to work, both of you, and it doesn't work? Because this is the thing. Okay, so I guess it depends on where they are.
Okay.
Did they skip a whole bunch of process, like the questioning in the beginning, like me and you? Let's just say me.
I think a lot of people skip the question.
Yeah. So then okay, so they if you skip that part, then yeah, I can see why it wouldn't work. Because you know what? I thought you were somebody else. I didn't ask you enough questions.
And that's the other thing. Because I could really, really love you because we grew up together and we've built all of these things together.
No, I didn't.
But no, listen. What I'm saying is there are people that I love you because we grew up together, raising this family. But I never asked these questions about who you really were. I just kind of went with and even once somebody discovers who they are, when they really think about who they are, they're like, this isn't the kind of relationship I want. Like, I love this person and because we've done all of these things, but I don't know them like that. Like, okay. You know what I'm saying?
So what if that's you and I, right? And you say that, and I say this to you. So what can I do?
Right.
to make this work because I believe this is supposed to work? Are you like, no, I don't think you can do it? Will you give me some grace to try to like make that happen?
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is I think that there can be a time where people, they loved that like I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago or 20, right? What if who I grew up to be isn't who you can see yourself really being happy with, like growing the way you are?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know.
if when you were doing all of this changing and growing that you were doing, I know initially I was like, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you came back initially from being overseas, I remember telling my friends that first weekend you came back, I said, I don't even know who this man is. And I can't do this. I don't know who he is. I don't want to have anything else to do. Like if I would have been on that same path, you would have been pushing the same way you were pushing. And I was like set.
But it's my fault though.
Regardless of that, you turned into somebody I didn't recognize.
Then why didn't you leave? Because you gave me the time.
Yes, and that's true. But what I'm saying is if you got to like being fair, you're not as strict and stringent on your stances as you were when you first came back. You were very unforgiving with your ideas, like this is how it is, this is what's right, and everybody else had to fall in line. And that, to me, being the person I am, I was like, I can't live like that. So yes, you were somebody that was willing to say, I'm continuing to grow and evolve, like give me a second. And I waited for that. But what if you were somebody who would not, like, you're like, no, I'm on the, and it's not like you're trying to be a butthole, but saying, no, I'm on the right path, this is the right way, and eventually you'll come around. Like some people do feel that way. That's
a decision that they gotta, like, you either feel like it's worth it or it's not. You don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I either convince you or you don't. And then I'm like, if I don't convince you, then I didn't do a really good job. I didn't believe in it. My job was to convince you that this person was going to become better. So to me, like, if you feel like that you want to waste all the time that you've already accumulated and put it into somebody else, that's something that they have to live with. But to me, I wouldn't want anybody to waste that time.
Well, I don't think that you mean waste of time
that they've already accumulated
in the marriage.
Correct.
See, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that it's a waste of time. You learned and you did whatever, but I don't think you should stay in a marriage because you already put in this time.
No, I didn't say that. I just said that they're not going to find the happiness. And the reason, I'm just saying this. You can find some kind of substitute, but my point is this. For you to find happiness with somebody, there has to be an interaction over the course of time where you guys know how to handle situations. And to me, like before I came back, the way that we handle situations was according to how you felt like you were going to deal with me. Mm-hmm. It's different now.
Yeah, but I'm saying not every marriage is.
It isn't, but my point is you don't get into that. You would like that option.
Yeah.
And if you don't know about it, your ego and pride is going to create this roadblock between you two and say, okay, I don't think this is working. My point is the roadblock that you think I was creating, in my mind, I was just wanting to become a better communicator so that you can know that, like, I mean what I say. And you were like, to you in my head, you needed some consistency. You needed to feel like before you were just like, I just needed to know that you were improving. If I see that you're growing, I was good. And I was like, well, that's cool because I was going to improve. If I'm not mad about how you respond, I'm like, you can't be doing like, he was like, well, you put me in this position. I accepted all responsibility at that point. So if one person wants to leave, the other person got to be like, look, this is what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't sound like that to the person, they got a right to leave. It was like, I don't believe that. I've heard this before. To me, I felt like you had to give me that because I don't think I've ever put you in a situation where I was like, I had to prove myself. So I was like, at least let me prove it. Mm. And when it started happening, like it was tough. And I just kept being reminded, like, she feels this way because of you. So it was easy for me to humble myself because I was like, even though you felt that way, I didn't want you to feel that way.
I know.
And I was like, my whole intent was to make sure you don't ever feel like that again.
Yeah.
And through the course of time, we've gotten to the point where Like, I need you to know, I feel like other people in that situation too, but you feel like they can walk away from it. And I don't want them to, because our situation could have been the same thing. Somebody could have described it like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no man that I know of wants to destroy what we had or what they have. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm representing that population of people.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that are like, I just don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I think just to circle back around to the beginning of why we were talking about this, I don't really know if we can speak because we haven't grown up with the same experiences and representations as this current group. We haven't struggled with the exact same things they've struggled with. I can't really say we know exactly what they're going through.
I know, it's just our opinion.
With. Yeah. When we talk, it always comes back to me like if we look at the relationships we had to go off of to know what marriage is supposed to look like, we're in a good place. Like we've done really well with not being just repeating the cycle.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping that these younger ones, like, we could throw stuff out there and maybe what we're saying doesn't necessarily apply to them because we don't know the uniqueness of their experience looking at marriage. And also being able to do the things that they are able to do. So now they're just making different decisions than we would. They're completely different from us. But when you're talking to me about this stuff, it really feels like we're really talking to our own generation and then saying to the new generation, don't fall into these traps.
Yes.
Let your traps be something new.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but communication is big. And I think in our generation, that's probably the thing that we are picking up that wasn't happening in the marriages in the generation before us.
Because they were just doing roles.
Yeah. And so now we're talking through those things. So what their struggle is going to be like, I guess we'll learn in a few years when our kids are like,
well, see, our kids, they're going to be different because.
Well, but that's what I mean. We're going to learn the new struggles, the new concerns.
Well, I don't know. Like, well, I guess when I'm thinking about, like, our kids are coming in amongst a 2-parent household.
Yeah.
That's healthy, but I'm saying their groups of kids, I don't know what that looks like for them. Right.
But that's what I'm saying. We came from 2
broken households.
Yeah. And so let's see what this new generation has to offer. I don't look forward to Day and Dallas struggling in relationships, but I know that in watching them, we're going to see what the new thing is. Like, we tried to solve all we could with our experience and put it in them. Let's see what they do. Because the expectation is they won't get caught the way that we did, and it'll be completely new things that they'll come to us and ask about. And it's going to be something that I imagine we would have never thought about. Because it was
of course. Oh yeah. And I'll say this, just I'm gonna enjoy just rolling these podcasts out, like, as we get older, because we'll be able to discuss our perception and, like, recognizing the blind spots that we weren't aware of. This is like history, like live, like manuscript, like this happening, like if anybody listened to it, it's like, dang, it was happening then. They're talking about it. That's why I'm like, the young people, if we don't convince the young people that marriage is worth it, the population is just going to get smaller and smaller. How many kids will ever say, I'm glad I grew up in a single parent household? If people say, you don't have to get married to have kids, you're right. So that means it's way easier for somebody to leave.
I don't hear people say that as much anymore.
What?
You can have kids without.
Well, you don't have to. It's already showing that all of these women getting pregnant and they not married.
Yeah, but I'm saying these newer people. People are impregnating these women, not just women out here getting pregnant like they out here on their own trying to catch as much sperm as possible.
No, I'm saying that they're not married and there's no man in the picture. Yeah. Like, they're not together. Like, so to me,
I think that's the thing about the younger generation saying it's fine if I don't get married. It's fine if I don't have
That's what
kids,
I'm saying. But
they're saying let me do it as a group effort, or I just ain't gonna do it. And it may be that mind frame of what you're talking about. Like, I'm not gonna struggle like I've seen
absolutely
done before. So,
and I agree and I understand that standpoint, because if you can't support what you see, why the hell you want to walk that way?
Yeah.
So I understand.
And if you can't find the candidate that matches your energy, then
So now that's another episode.
it is.
No, but anybody want to give a shout out before we get out of here? I want to give a shout out to all of you guys that's looking for ways to enjoy your person, or even looking for that moment where your person becomes your person. And it is an unbelievable feeling, and I hope you guys find it. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.